Welcome to growing your own food in your own backyard. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing and don't forget to hit the like button. I am growing kale indoors and it is time to harvest my kale. Now I do a lot of experimenting growing food indoors because I live in a climate where you can't grow food outdoors year round. One of the successes I'm having in growing food is all of the lettuces and kale grow very well indoors. My rosemary's growing well indoors. My, I'm losing my train of thought here. Garlic is doing well, growing indoors, and etc. During the winter months, I do experiment trying to grow food indoors using bell pepper plants. I struggle with that. Other issues, I've done well with celery, but it takes just trial and error to determine what grows well. Undergrow lights, if you don't have a good southern exposure window, then you have to consider growing food in undergrow lights. However, I don't take these kale plants outdoors because I want to get acclimated to continue growing indoors year round. And so every 3 months I have to harvest this kale, and it's very nutritional. I've had to up pot the kale, and this kale here actually came from this one. So I actually double the production of kale I'm growing indoors. So let's go ahead and start harvesting. So as you can see, this is basically turned into a kale tree. And I've had this plant, I would say, about 3 years. And as I continue harvesting from this kale plant, it just keeps growing up and up and up. And look how thick that kale is. It just lets you know it's very healthy. It's happy where it's at. It gets the right light exposure it needs. So now that I have harvested this kale tree, you can see I have new ones coming up. And then I've got these down here, which is in the same container, but again, it's growing the same way. And there are smaller leaves, but I can still harvest them and still continue production of kale. And then again with this one, this one back here needs to be harvested, and this is a new one that's coming up out of the soil. So as you can see, it's putting out new shoots, which is allowing me to get about maybe 3 kale plants in one container by just putting out new shoots. So this particular kale plant is now been harvested, and this is what it looks like once it's harvested. And look at a whole bowl of kale just from this one plant, growing indoors for 3 years. And so during the winter months, I could still have fresh vegetables growing indoors because I can't grow this outdoors during the winter months. Same way with this, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish harvesting. Okay, there you have it. 2 containers, and I got a whole bowl of fresh kale. And I harvest about once every 3 months. And as you can see, I have this kale tree growing, and then it's starting a new one here. I am also growing rosemary, and I harvest this a lot. I love using rosemary And then if you look at my previous video, I am growing a moringa plant indoors. I am growing ginger. Excuse me, I said garlic earlier, and that's incorrect. Forgive me. I'm growing ginger indoors. I'm growing ginger outdoors. So I do attempt to grow food indoors and outdoors. I don't want to take these plants outdoors and bring them indoors because it goes through a climate acclimation, and the adjustment sometimes can take time for it to acclimate to the new environment indoors in a grow light. What I did take outdoors, however, is my celery. It was a struggle, but it was growing. But I did replant that outdoors. I am going to attempt to try to grow basil. I am challenged with growing those indoors, and I will just experiment with trying to grow certain vegetables and foods indoors. Some of these plants require more natural light, a southern exposure, as opposed to a grow light. But nevertheless, if you don't try and experiment, and go through trial and errors, you won't know what works and what doesn't work. But I always want to be prepared for the unexpected if I need to eat during the winter months. So I just wanted to take you along, show you what I'm growing indoors, want to show you how I'm harvesting my kale plant. And if you're growing food indoors, let me know about your experiment or your experience. And I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you for watching.